Hi, I'm Sarah Kirkland Snider, and I'm here at Nonesuch in the holy space of the archive, here to talk about my Nonesuch selects. It is not an understatement to say that this album made me want to be a composer. I found this record going to Tower Records, the listening booths back in the 90s, and I had no idea. I just chose it because of the cover, and I knew nothing about really contemporary composition at the time. And I listened to it, and I started weeping in Tower Records. And I thought, oh my gosh, this is the most beautiful thing I've ever heard in my life. And I thought that it was older. You know, I thought it was from a previous time period. So when I realized that it was written by, a composer more recently, it made me feel like maybe there is a place for me in modern composition, because to be quite honest, a lot of the new music that I'd been hearing, in my studies didn't always speak to me, didn't always make me think that I could see myself in the field. But this was the record that did it for me. Pretty much every composer of my generation loves this record, or at least many do, but I honestly can't think about my career without it, because it had such a profound influence on me when I first heard it. I've seen it live a few times. It's been one of the most transporting live experiences I've had. Yeah, it just taught me to think differently about form and harmony and shimmer and texture, rather than a more romantic sense of architecture, which I'd grown up with. So it completely blew open the world of music for me when I first heard it back in the 90s, and you can hear traces of it in my music all the time. So I included this album because it's one of my all-time favorites. I'm a classical composer, but it had a huge influence on me. This came out in, I think it was like 2000, 2001, and I was in the midst of studying a lot of really academic classical music, and I went up to this conference in Buffalo, June in Buffalo, and I was feeling a little like, I don't know if I fit into this world of academic, experimental, avant-garde, I'm not sure. And this album had just come out, and I put this on, and I was like, this is music. And I mean, not that the other wasn't music, but it reminded me that the world of music is huge and large. And also, I was completely enraptured by the production. Jim O'Rourke, one of my favorite musicians, mixed it, and he just did a phenomenal job. I mean, they all produced it, but the sound design, the electronics, the soundscapes, it gives you this whole sense of depth of field, which complicates the simple songs in this really profound way. It makes them cinematic and massive, and that's something that I aim for in my own music. My first two song cycles, Penelope and Unremembered, I totally ribbed and communed with this record hardcore and stole a lot from it in terms of sound design and ideas for texture. So it's a big record for me. Laurie Anderson. Laurie Anderson was the first female composer that I knew of. I remember seeing her on MTV way back in the day, and she really struck me for her look and her sound and her music, and the fact that she wasn't like any other woman on MTV. And I was fascinated by her and wanted to know more. As I grew up, I really fell in love with her music, but particularly this album, which is a bit different from some of her other works, but it's kind of everything that she does. There's theater, there's storytelling, there's melancholy, there's beauty, there's pain, and there's a lot of strangeness. And she just taught me to have courage. So I love her for that. Eva Bittová. So she is an incredible Czech violinist singer who performs alone. She does her own blend she calls it her own folk music, and it's like a cross between Eastern European music and rock music. And I saw her live at the Knitting Factory in the 90s, and it blew my mind. She had her whole body involved. It was like cackling and chirping and whistling and singing and beautiful and strange and poppy and otherworldly at the same time. It had a big influence on me, and I was looking for women who were doing powerful things outside the mold, and again, she gave me courage and strength and fierceness. Oh, I love this album so much. This is Ingram Marshall's Kingdom Come. Ingram Marshall is a composer that should be so much better known. He was a teacher of mine in grad school at Yale, which is how I encountered his music initially. And he taught a class on Sibelius that had a profound influence on me. It got me to think differently about shape and form and atmosphere. And then I discovered Ingram's music and fell deeply in love with it. It is spiritual and mysterious, and it has this kind of sacred mystery to it that I just love. And this piece, Kingdom Come in particular, the first piece on the album, is incredibly beautiful. If you like music that is elegiac and moving and emotional, I think you would really love this. And the entire album is gorgeous. It has the Hillier Ensemble doing old hymns from the 18th century that he's redone with electronics. It's got Fog Tropes too for the Kronos Quartet. It's just gorgeous, gorgeous music. So this is Kronos Quartet early music. This is another album that I discovered at Tower Records in a listening booth back in the 90s. And I absolutely fell madly in love with it. I listened to it obsessively. I remember painting my apartment on West 4th Street and Jones, and I fell and got all these horrible bruises, but it was worth it somehow because I associated all these bruises with all the music that I was listening to. Anyway, this album is incredible. It's got a lot of old early music pieces, but it's also got newer pieces by composers like John Cage and Moondog, and arrangement by Steve Mackey and Arvo Pärt. And there's a piece by Hildegard on here, Hildegard von Bingen, who is a 12th century medieval composer that I later wound up writing an opera about, which recently premiered. But this was the very first place that I heard Hildegard's music, strangely enough. It's a string quartet arrangement of a piece of hers, Over to Sapientiae, but it was so beautiful, and I'd never heard her music before, and I was completely struck. And then I did a deep dive and learned a whole lot more about her. But this album, I played it so much that it came up with all these scratches. I wore it out completely and had to throw it away, but I loved it so much.